We're talking about networking and how applying for jobs is like the worst strategy ever. Devin Nash, he is like the first and foremost expert on Twitch. He runs an agency, his own company, co-founded or co-run by him and someone else. He used to own CLG, and one of his best friends is Ethan Evans, who is an Amazon VP. I've talked about these guys before. I think their content is so good. People need to hear it, and if they won't listen to it directly from them, at least get my input from it. And I'm gonna like just take the highlights of some of their talks and give my input. And honestly, a lot of things that they talk about are things that I have exactly done in my esports career. So I want to get into it.
So first,
oh, I'm on 2x speed. I'm gonna put it at like 1.25 though.
I say looking for a job, if you're out of work and you need a job, is a full-time job. So it is possible to productively spend 40 hours a week looking for work. And some people are gonna be like, what do I do? What do I apply? Like I sent in 10 job applications. There's no more openings. Well, first, bullshit. But second, applying for jobs is a terrible strategy. Wait, what? You said get a job. You have to network. So for example, one of the guys who started my team today, yesterday, I guess, I posted an ad on LinkedIn looking for people, and he contacted me, wasn't qualified for that role, but we hooked him up and he interviewed elsewhere. The point is though, he came in through a networking lead. Like he came to me and I passed him to someone else, and that person found him a role where he fit, and then they interviewed him, but he came in by reaching out. And
okay, so I want to talk about this. I've talked to a lot of video editors. I have seen a lot of video editors and people that I haven't contacted, but I've seen their stuff, and I want them to get a job. That'd be awesome. And sometimes I don't have the right job for them, right? But the thing is, I have tried to hand off editors to other people. I have come back to people months after they've responded to me and being like, hey, I have a job for you now, right? So getting to me directly or to a person that you want in your network directly is so important, because we remember, and most people in esports just like really want the scene to do well and succeed, right? And this is how I've gotten jobs. Travis Gafford was working with me. Or I was working for Travis Gafford. If you don't know who Travis Gafford is, he's a huge YouTuber, interviewer for the League of Legends esports scene. And doing stuff for him, eventually I found out that he contacted my current boss, Spellsy, and being like, you need to hire this guy right now. And that's how I got in contact with my boss. And that's eventually how I got hired some freelance work and then got in full time. That's how powerful a network is, right? He also got me in contact with Ateo, who is an esports clothing brand company, and that helped me. That got me my in and first meeting with Ateo. This has helped me so many times, and a lot of it like stemmed from Travis, right? But all these little connections help. And what's going to happen is after like I'm 5 years, 10 years in esports or whatever, you already have an in right away instead of going through a resume process and getting your resume put through a computer or falling on someone's desk or getting coffee stains on it and thrown away. Because resumes are hard and some people aren't good at resumes. So bypass that through a network. Okay, let's keep going.
And everyone has to do that somewhere. The power of being introduced, power of the network is so huge. And you and I have talked about this, but
we have. I think tactically speaking, a lot of people are like, okay, that's great. I understand that networking is something that I need to do. What the hell do I do? Now, to me, that translates right now in this ecosystem as like literally triple down on LinkedIn, send inquisitive messages to companies that you are interested in working for, but not in the sense of like, hi, I'm looking for a job, but in the sense of like, I'm looking to learn more about this industry and make a connection. If you have time for like a 30-minute call, I'm looking for some guidance.
Wow.
Lots of other people that are asking, hey, I want a job. Can I work for N3rdfusion? Can I work as an intern? I'll work for free, things like that. Lots of other people that are like, how do I grow my stream? And the trend here is that everybody wants something. They don't want to provide value. If you can find some way to provide value to someone in a LinkedIn message and a connection with the skill that you have. So for example, almost all of the video editors.
Okay, this is so important. There's this, and they're going to talk about this a little bit more, but like think about all the networks and reaching out to people when you cold call people as a transaction. Like, well, we should treat people like people, and we shouldn't be like, I'm looking for something and I'm going to give you something. But if you're able to create a relationship where you're providing more value than they're able to, there's a social contract that other person that's been provided value for wants to be like, wait, how can I return this? I'm in debt now in our exchange. Therefore, that's going to be like, hey, sometimes they'll ask like, hey, why are you doing this? Do you need a job? Like, are you looking for a job? Like, what can I do for you? You know? And that's when it naturally becomes something that's not just like this weird, like, get me a job. This is a strategy that I've used, and this is how I've talked about this in a previous video in my, like one hack to get into esports video, which if it's on YouTube, it'll be linked somewhere, the notifications or those YouTube cards. I sent him a social video that I created. He never asked for it, and I'm like, hey, I made this. If you like it, you can use it. And then he's like, whoa, this is cool. And then I started making stuff, and then he started paying me. This is so important. This shows so much more effort than just asking for like, hey, can you hook me up with the job?
That I've ever hired for any kind of position, they've sent me a video first. And they said, here's what I can do. You can use this on your YouTube channel if you want. And I'm like, that's sick. And then I look at it, and I already have an example of it. I think that people really underestimate how much creativity goes in, like effort in an actual job posting goes in to making an outcome. And they assume that people aren't going to see it or aren't going to read it. But when I was hiring for the campaign manager job, I got this. I brought someone to interview immediately because she sent me this amazing like PowerPoint presentation with like pictures of her and like creative work she's done, like her like professional projects she's done with case studies, things like that. And I was like, dude, you got an interview because she took the time to customize it. And I think a lot of people.
And that's why you can spend 40 hours or more.
Exactly.
Like, hunting for a job.
Because I think a lot of people, they just send a fucking blank, which is great. Like if you customize resumes like the ones that Ethan and I have told you to do on our YouTube channels, you're already ahead of the game. But I think a lot of people are afraid to put in that initial effort for no return, potential of no return. Oh, they're just going to throw out my app. Well, maybe, but you've got to put in that effort to stand out. Because if you want to be an anomaly, you got to act.
Doing that for a targeted person or like 5 targeted person, rather than doing 100 different resumes and spending the same amount of time putting all those, blasting those out, this is going to be so much more effective, and it works. It totally works. The reason why it doesn't work is because 1, you missed your shot and you're not good enough, or 2, like it just wasn't the right timing. So I think those are things like, this is such good advice.
Nobody wants that self-image, right? I say this a lot on my stream. Everyone writes a narrative in their head where they're the hero. And it's hard to write your own hero narrative if someone asks you for something really simple in a polite way and you're like, no, fuck you. So they're like, could you take a few seconds and just glance at my resume and see if it's at all a fit for a design role at your company? Just yes or no. Well, who can't take the time to say yes or no, right? And so a lot of people will. Some won't. Some will ghost you. But generally, people will get back to you.
And someone asked, like,
if someone actually sent me, hey, can you look at my video portfolio? I'm like looking for this kind of work, and I'm just curious like what your thoughts are because you hire for video editors. I'd be like, I might say no, or I could be like, yeah, just give me a second, and then I'm gonna find 5 minutes to look at it, 1 minute to look at it, an hour to look at it, right? And because I want to help, like, and you find those people that want to help, right? You find the right people to shoot your shot, and that is gonna make a difference. But yeah, these small asks, like that's a really good idea. If I asked like Travis at the beginning, like, hey, I'm trying to get into esports. Okay. If I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get into esports, how do I do this? That's wrong. If I say like, hey, Travis, I really want to do podcasts and interviews. I think I'm really good at it. Here's like one example of my work. If you have a tip on anything, or if you have like people, or if you have a video or resources that I could find that would help me be a better interviewer, like I'd love to hear any piece of advice, because I think you do and then fluff them up a little bit, like I think you're one of the best interviewers in the League of Legends scene. You found success, so I'm trying to see like I think you would be a person that would be the best to ask this for.
How do you avoid coming off manipulative or opportunistic in these messages? So I would say, right, this is like kind of crazy, but like, be an authentic person, in the sense that understand. Here's how I would describe it. Imagine that there are 2 bank accounts, okay, and there's like a certain amount of cash, let's say $100 that flows between each one, okay. View every time you ask somebody for something as a withdrawal from that bank account. Yep. Every time that you add value to it, you add a little bit to that bank account. So add a little bit of value, ask them a question, get them interested in something, tell them an interesting story, provide them something, give them some kind of content, give them an interesting article, something like that, right? Like literally we're kind of teaching you right now how to make a friend. But actually, yep, right? Like that's what we're thinking, right?
Okay. This is really important gold, and this is what people don't do. This is effective on me. I'll tell you that right now. You're looking for a job, I think Golden Guardian's a fit, and we're hiring, you should hit me up like this. If you are trying to get a break into the industry, Golden Guardian's not hiring for a job, but you think I have some valuable input, like looking over a resume, because I've done those and I'm doing those. Or if you're like, hey, you know, I want to be social media, I have some marketing questions. Oh, what are your thoughts? Someone asked me, like, actually, a freelancer that I worked with asked me, hey, can I interview for the school project? I said, sure. That's a big ask, but I'm willing to do that. Like, someone like Devin Nash, who's super busy, probably not. Me, I'm busy, but I'm probably willing to take the time to do those kind of things. Because first of all, I love podcasts and I love talking about esports. And second of all, like, I genuinely want to help the scene, and those kind of things that like get me really excited. So